All right, and we are live, or at least I believe we should be. How's it going, everyone? This is a special stream. It's a little bit different from what we usually do, of course. Usually we just live stream, but today we have a guest. In fact, it is the first special guest that we've ever had here on the channel. It's myself, Poongoon. As you all know, we have Macho, but we also have, boys, someone who you may or may not know quite well in attendance today. It's our boy, the one and only Asmongold. How are you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Just had some barbecue, sitting down, about to talk about some World of Warcraft with some dudes in my room in the dark with a blanket on and my headphones. I'm feeling real goddamn good.
Way to live up to that cliche
You
barbecue in
goddamn right,
Texas.
dude. No shame.
You know what's cool is I'm from Georgia, Poon's from Florida, and you're from Texas. We're all hillbillies in this chat.
Oh, shit. Yo, it's crazy. I actually have family in Florida and in Georgia, so
Oh,
that's
really?
good, man. Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Absolutely. So, what did you guys think right now? Like, what did you guys think whenever they announced classic servers?
I didn't think it was gonna happen, man. So like as a private server streamer, I didn't know like what I was gonna do because I really like streaming and the stream and the channel has been growing, but it was only a matter of time until I couldn't continue to do this. You know what I mean? Because the bans, the suspensions, I did get suspended from Twitch over the summer for streaming private servers, and
Ooh.
it was, I don't know, to me it was amazing. Like, not only as a fan of Classic, a fan of Vanilla, but like as a streamer as well, because it means just so much more. You know, there's so much more opportunity now. It was.
Well, it certainly is. I mean, I remember I was making all of these promises that, like, have you guys ever watched Parks and Recreation?
Yes, yes.
So, do you guys remember the episode where April schedules all of Ron's appointments for like March 30th because she thought it wasn't a real date?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that
and
one.
like, this is basically what happened to me. Is that I had said like, yeah, I'm gonna buy all the store mounts if they announce legacy servers. I'm gonna do a 24-hour stream if they announce legacy servers. And like, if they announce legacy servers, that's what I would fill in, and then I will do something that's completely ridiculous and impossible, right? And like now, I've got all these fucking people calling me on all this stuff that now I effectively promised to do because that's how little I expected it to happen.
Did you buy all the store mounts?
Fuck that, dude. Yeah, dude. I mean, I do one or two, man. I told
I
people.
mean,
I'd
you seem like you would need them though. You've got pretty much all of them,
I
right?
got too many.
You're missing. I saw you. Well, I saw you got the Son of Galleon the other day.
That was a waste
I
of
saw
money,
that
but
too,
I don't
yeah.
feel bad. Yeah, 3.5 million gold.
Oh my
Jeez,
god.
man.
Yeah, that's like thousands of dollars that are spent on some piece of shit dumbass mount. Dumbass, like, the little skinny ass legs too, man. Like,
but it's +1 to the collection, though.
it's +1, and it's one mount that I have that other people don't. And it's like, what am I gonna do with that gold?
How many do you have now?
441, I think.
Jeez, man.
Might be. Actually, I think it's 442. It's a lot. It's too many.
No, that's awesome.
Now, how many achievements do you have? You have almost all of the achievements,
Oh,
right?
fuck. Actually, I'm still on WoW right now. Let me check. 28,805.
Are you planning on heavily playing Classic WoW, and are you going to be able to still get like near completion with all the achievements, playing both Classic and Retail?
I mean, like, obviously, anything that takes time away is going to take some focus away. But I mean, classic servers are so far off in the distance. What I hope to do is clear out a lot of the really big time investment ones before then, and then kind of just go into maintenance mode while classic is just released, and I'll be playing classic about 90% of the time, and retail 10% of the time. And then, or not retail, or current WoW, or whatever you want to call it now. And then I'll probably rotate and get closer to 50-50 as I complete more and more of the classic content. And also, I'm going to let my viewer base decide a lot of what I do, because, I mean, obviously I stream for them. Like, what I'm going to do personally, I think it really depends on what my friends are at that time and what they're doing.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. So what do you think made Blizzard decide that they're going to do classic servers? Do you think it was the success of the private servers? Do you think it was people complaining, or?
I think it was, you know, it was everything come together, right? I mean, you had a huge amount of people that were advocating for this for now years. You had a lot of people like myself, like I'm streaming, and like if I'm streaming and like I'm like one of the top WoW streams, like talking about it, and talking every fucking day about legacy servers, that is going to influence a lot of people, right? If you have people like yourself, like playing legacy servers, and like your streams on YouTube are getting a good amount of viewers, and people are watching those instead of Legion streams, and Alex Central was getting tons of viewers. Like he got like 4,000 or something whenever Nostalrius came back up. Like all the viewership and everything, I think that was a really big indicator. And also I think it's a point where Blizzard realized that it might be financially lucrative for them, because I think that's the big reason why they didn't do it. I mean, they're a business, right? I think that they would be more than willing to swallow their pride if they thought it would make them more money. But what I think they're going to do is they're going to probably couple the subscription with the Legion subscription or the Battle for Azeroth subscription, right?
Right.
So what's going to happen is that if you buy Battle for Azeroth and you're playing Battle for Azeroth, you can actually go and play classic servers. So that's going to create another entire value add for the Warcraft subscription. And that's going to give people, tons more content because they can go and play on classic servers, and vice versa. Something that a lot of people don't talk about is you're going to have some people that come back to play classic WoW, and they're not really a huge fan of it. But maybe they'll come back and they'll see, well, I'll see what Battle for Azeroth is like, and they'll play that, and they'll like that instead. So it's going to be a mutually beneficial thing where both of the different games are going to actually help each other.
Yeah, like that's what I don't understand. The people that are like they're so fervently for one or the other, when it's like both of them can coexist together and work together. Like it's still World of Warcraft. So
well, what people are worried about is if classic WoW takes development away from current WoW. And also one of the problems that the private server and the legacy community has had is that the people that are often the loudest did not really create a very good, impression of the audience, right? You often have the people that are just completely obnoxious about it.
Yeah.
And those people are very loud and very rude. And so any person that's kind of on the fence about it would see, wow, yeah, geez, these classic server guys or legacy guys or Nostalrius guys are assholes. I don't want to.
Right, exactly.
I don't want to agree with them. And I think that was a big issue, and that was something that I tried to kind of like move out of, is talking about it in a reasonable and polite tone. And I think that's something that really helped too.
Yeah, I agree with that completely, because I don't like that, like being just so. There's no reason that they can't both be together, work together. Well, like if you're gonna be really toxic with your attitude, like, hey, we want classic, that's it, I don't want anything else. If you like retail, you're wrong.
I mean, people like different stuff.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Like, I hate Minecraft, right? I fucking hate Minecraft. Okay. I think it's for autistic 12-year-olds. I think it's fucking ridiculous. It's stupid. Every single time in like 2013, I'd go to my friend's house and I'd see him playing Minecraft. I would be mad because I'd be like, oh, God damn it, now I have to pretend like I like this game again. I absolutely hated it. I've always hated Minecraft. But other people don't. And that's okay.
I hope they don't. I hope they don't use this as an excuse to not change certain things about the current game, though. I tried Legion, and I got bored after a couple of months. And I think a lot of people feel similar to me. I watch your stream, and you keep yourself busy, but you do everything in the game. Like, you collect transmogs, you collect mounts, you do pet battles and stuff like that. And for me, like, I feel as if outside of logging in and doing, my emissary cache or the mythic 10 for the week, right? There's not a whole lot of substance unless I wanted to mythic raid. And in the past, I've raided at a very high level, but I feel like, I don't know, it's not as exciting anymore with the lower difficulties. I don't know if I can really say that the way that I want to say it, but they've changed the appearance of the gear for the mythic raiding gear a little bit, so that it looks different. Like, it's not just a different coloration, it looks different. But with transmog, I don't know if you really even stand out that much. You know what I mean? It's the reward for mythic raiding, it just seems less than it used to be, and I think that's why I got bored of Legion. Well,
absolutely, and that's one of the reasons why I stopped doing a lot of mythic raiding too. Something that I'd want to touch on and talk about specifically is your comment about Blizzard making changes to the current game now that Classic is out. And I think actually, based on the success of Classic, it could actually be the opposite. and we could see Blizzard making changes that would move the game closer to how the game was in Classic than how it is now. And the reason for that is because if Classic is doing very well and players are saying that they like these different systems, and you're able to remove the possibility of those opinions being tinted by the rose, or tainted by rose-tinted goggles, and you can see them side by side, Classic WoW and current WoW, and people can like certain things in Classic WoW better, even though they might not necessarily be as convenient or as streamlined. That's going to give Blizzard a lot of insight into player behavior and let them know. And if Classic servers do very well, I think we could see a lot of things reverted back to the way that they were in Classic. I'm not saying everything, but I'm saying a number of things. We could see that paradigm return, and that's going to be based on how popular Classic servers are. Because, their goal is to make the game as good as possible and make as many people happy as possible. And if they see Classic servers are doing that in a way that retail isn't, on a level that retail could kind of learn from, I think that would be an amazing change. And that's something that a lot of people also don't talk about, is the ways that Classic servers and their inception into the Warcraft universe could change and modify and actually alter the course of the way that the current game is being developed.
See, I didn't think about it that way. It depends. Do you really think that there could be more people actively playing the Classic than the Battle for Azeroth, though?
I think it's obvious that more people are going to play it as soon as it comes out, right?
Right, of course.
But what you're saying is the longevity of it, and I think that's probably Blizzard's biggest concern, is that what is the longevity of Classic WoW? Are they going to obviously you're going to have every fucking guy that's 25 or something like that now has probably played WoW. That's played WoW anytime, that's around our age, give or take 10 years, is probably going to come back and maybe play the game again. There's so much hype behind it. It was the top post on Reddit. I think it got more upvotes than whenever Donald Trump won the presidency. Okay?
Jeez.
It was a big fucking deal. So we're going to see a lot of people coming back and playing the game. But the longevity, what's it going to be like in 6 months? What's it going to be like in a year? That, I don't think anybody knows.
I saw that they're going to split the Twitch into two categories. They're going to have just World of Warcraft, obviously
Unclear.
Battle for Azeroth. Oh, it's unclear? Is that true?
It is not stated by Twitch, and I am currently hoping that they do not make that decision.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to say that could end up being bad, and they might have to merge it back together at some point if one started to falter or something.
If one also started to falter, it also hurts Blizzard, and basically doing that would only really... The only thing that it would create is you have companies, right? The company that developed or produced Fortnite paid Tim the Tatman, Dr. Disrespect, and a couple of other really big guys on Twitch to all stream Fortnite at basically the same time. And the reason for that is to artificially boost its viewer numbers to where it's at the top of Twitch. They paid tens of thousands of dollars for that. Being able to boost a game to the top of Twitch and do all of that kind of stuff is a huge advantage and a huge boost for a game, and it helps its advertising in an amazing way. And even if it's a game that everybody knows about, like Super Mario World or World of Warcraft, whenever people see it at the top, it regenerates that hype around the game. And you always need advertising. An example of this is Geico. Geico spends millions of dollars, probably billions of dollars each year on advertising to make sure that car insurance in America is synonymous with the word Geico and the company Geico. And so there's never a point where you don't need advertising. There's never a point where you don't want to have people, knowing about and seeing your product and being reminded of your product. And that's a business term as well. Or business mindset as well. There's different types of advertising, right? There's introductory, and it's not really called that, but you see what I'm kind of saying, right?
Yeah.
And that's a big deal for Warcraft too. Though, like you're saying, if when they come out, that's going to be huge for them. Because the hype is going to be so big, it's just going to rejuvenate the whole audience, I think.
Well, absolutely, it will. Even now, you're seeing that happening with. Myself, my viewers have gone up substantially. I think everybody's viewers have gone up substantially.
Ours have too. As soon as that announcement dropped, it was crazy.
And if I look at Twitch right now, World of Warcraft is at 20,000 viewers at 8 p.m. At 8 p.m. Everybody that I'm seeing here, Swifty, 2,000 viewers. He usually has 1,000. Tally, 3.6K. he usually has about half that much at this time. Like he gets a lot in the mornings, but these are like his bonus streams that he does. So we're seeing people all across the board growing in amazing ways, and that's because people are reinvigorated, reinvested, and they're reminded of the game with the classic announcement and everything.
Now,
so, yeah.
No, I definitely think that will probably taper off a little bit though, because it's going to be a long time until this comes out, right?
It's going to be about 1.5 to 2 years that I would assume.
Dang.
It could be shorter, but my assumption is that they're going to bring it out during downtime of the next expansion.
Yeah, like after a couple raid tiers are out in BFA, or maybe towards the end of it, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty good possibility. Yeah, but anyway, I'm really hoping that they do not split the categories, because it's going to help Blizzard, it's going to help Warcraft, and it's going to help the streamers the most as possible. And also, you have some people that are streaming that are concerned that everybody's going to want to see Classic and nobody's going to want to see, like Battle for Azeroth. That's not true. Like, a lot of people are not interested in Classic.
Yeah.
Like, they have to remember that. Like, there's a lot of people that just don't care. They like Mythic rating, they like the current state of the game, they don't want to restart their characters. I mean, they've had their character for 10 years ever since Vanilla was out the first time, and they just don't want to restart, and that's understandable, and they're probably not going to watch those streams. But I think for every streamer and every content creator, there's a responsibility to deliver content to your viewer base and your users in the best way possible, right? And so, like, if a new raid comes out, I'm going to do the new raid, even if I don't feel like it. Right, same with the new dungeon, new PvP scenario, or something like that. They want to see that. Well, that's the thing, is that I'm streaming, I'm performing, I'm putting on a show, I'm showing people certain things. Like I have my webcam on, I'm interacting with people, reading chat, I'm entertaining people, and that's what I'm trying to do. So if you're choosing not to entertain people in the best way possible, I don't really think that Blizzard should forego an advertising opportunity in order to subsidize that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, I don't know if you've ever... I've never played RuneScape, but apparently with RuneScape, they brought old RuneScape back with the OSRS, and that's kind of like the first instance of something like this happening before. And I've heard... Well, I guess EverQuest did it too, I think. I'm not sure, but... Everybody
does it. Like, when you look at Nintendo, they bring back Mario, like, every year. Yeah, like, the same levels, the same graphics, everything. Like,
release everything on... virtual console,
like Nintendo does it constantly. Like Sega would do it even constantly. Like, you even had this happening. You had Super Mario All-Stars for Super Nintendo that had Super Mario World 1, 2, and 3 in it, and Lost Levels. So you already had. I mean, this is a very, very common thing that you see with developers all the time, because it's very easy. All you have to do is just re-release the same game and basically market to nostalgia.
Right, and the development must be basically near nothing for it, of course.
It's certainly less.
But with OSRS, it's to my understanding that for people who cleared all the content on the server, so it's all the old content, and then they cleared it all. We were actually having a discussion about this today on the stream. They gave you an option, like they do player voting, where they let player votes on certain things, like, do you think we should progress to this patch, or do you think we should stay on this patch? I guess they invented new content for OSRS, like, that had never existed before. I don't think that would happen for Classic WoW, but do you think there's any chance that maybe you would see, like, Karazhan Crypts after Naxxramas, and it's tier 4, but everyone is still level 60, if you see what I'm saying?
Well, I think that's absolutely a possibility. And I can preface all of this by saying that I don't think the voting system is a good idea for WoW, because most people are stupid.
I think it's a terrible idea.
You can't even trust them to interrupt the mob. Like, they're fucking garbage. Like, why would you have some random idiot voting? Like, imagine me, right? I've played the game for 10 years. I've done everything in the game, and my vote matters just as much as some other random clown.
That's
right?
Pretty much true.
Like, I mean, there's a reason why, like, game developers don't just make all their decisions based on voting. Like, they're the game developers. Like, you don't give the people what they want. You give them what they need. Right?
I love WoW, and I hate to bash it, but I feel like a lot of the bad changes that have happened is because Blizzard listened to player input too much.
You don't give people what they want. Like, they're stupid. People are stupid. Like, they don't know anything. Like, that's why they're not game developers. It's I don't even know. I mean, of course you're not going to let people vote. If you let people vote on issues in classic servers, the next thing you're going to have fucking pet battles, transmog, and LFR. Okay, and that's what's going to happen. And yeah, you maybe you could have a server, and that server could have maybe some form of voting, but as long as there is a server that is a pure form of the game in the state it was in patch 1.12 or whatever they want to do it, without any sort of player voted changes, I will be happy. If they have like some other server that's separate from that does have extra changes, that does maybe have Karazhan Crypt's tier 4 raid after an Extramus for level 60, that would be really cool. But I will only be okay with that if there's also a server that is a basically carbon copy of the experience that I had in 2006. Now, there are some things that I think are obviously, they need to change, right? And those things end with groundbreaking bugs, like game-breaking bugs.
Of course.
Like something that, like, if you aggro this mob and tag this other mob and then you hearth out and it crashes the server. That can obviously not stay in the game because people could just abuse that and make nobody else able to play. I would rather have the looting bug to where you stay looting and like you're just like permanently kneeling down for like 5 minutes and it says you're not eligible to loot that corpse. I would rather have that in the game than have any other form of changes. And that's my stance on it. I don't want to see any changes at all.
I look at MMO Champion in I haven't really been looking at the official Blizzard forums, but I look at MMO Champion pretty regularly, and they have the whole new subsection there of classic servers. And the things that people want to see changed, like it's terrifying that these are the people in the same community.
No,
really.
It's not. It's not at all, because there's only like a dozen of them.
Yeah, you think they're just very vocal?
If I go out downtown and I see some random idiot yelling about how the sun is going to hit us tomorrow and it's going to evaporate the earth, I'm not worried about that because it's just one random idiot.
That's
right?
true, yeah.
There are random morons everywhere. I think the internet has given rise to the idea that you kind of elevate and amplify one random idiot or like a very select group of idiots. Like there's like a fucking Twitter outrage. You go read an article, there's a Twitter outrage. You look at the picture, the screenshot that they put on about the tweet, it's got 12 likes. It's not a Twitter outrage. Nobody gives a fuck.
That's true.
There's a couple of clowns, right? There's a couple of clowns. And if I actually look at the amount of people that want no changes compared to the amount of people that do want changes, overwhelmingly there are a lot of people that do not want any changes. And I think that's how it should stay.
Yeah, I definitely think so as well. And I think Alex made a video on it recently. I think Frostadamus, a buddy of mine, made a video on it recently. Yeah. I think the big concern overall of everybody in the private server community is that they just don't fucking change anything at all. And that they make it as true as possible.
Here's the worst thing that can happen, is for Blizzard to make a change that alienates the audience they're trying to get back. That is the worst thing that can happen. And that could absolutely happen.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so worried about them making any change whatsoever. Now, in my perfect world, like if I was the only person in charge of making changes, maybe I'd let AoE looting go through. Maybe I'd let mounting be a little bit faster. Maybe I'd let this, maybe I'd let that. But I don't trust myself to make those changes. Other people don't trust me to make those changes. And in return, I won't trust them to make those changes. And we can just all agree on no changes, and then it's the simplest, cleanest way to approach things.
Well, yeah, you mentioned that just now. What would you be willing to put up with if they were gonna make changes?
What about new character models?
How, like, if you're bargaining, like, you're getting it, but what would you be willing to put up with if they're just dead set on changing something?
I don't know. I think that it depends on what it is, right? Like new character models, I would not want new character models because I feel like that that kind of it interferes with the nostalgia of the game that it's obviously intended to bring back some of those players, right? Mm-hmm. It's like with the Mario games. They still have Mario games right now on, like Mario Maker was a huge, great seller for the Wii U. And you had like the same 16-bit, 32-bit graphics that we saw, or 16-bit graphics, 8-bit graphics that we saw from all the way back then, right? They didn't update the graphics at all, except for the Super Mario World ones, and I think that's one of the big reasons why it is successful. So I think that Blizzard is aware that they are partially capitalizing on nostalgia, at least for that initial wave of people that are buying it.
You're not allowed to change character models in the game, right? That's against TOS, I think it is.
Well,
no, there's a toggle though.
You can toggle the old character models on,
right?
But the animations are still, they're forced into being the new animations. And if you're talking about T-Morph, where like you change like your human into like an orc, right? Mm-hmm. Like you can do that with T-Morph. That is against the TOS. That's correct.
Okay. So, about private servers in general, do you think that they will continue to exist at all? It'll probably at least be a shadow of itself, but do you think they will continue to exist at all after Classic comes out?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you're of course going to have some people that are going to play on private servers for whatever reason, but whenever the vanilla servers are active, and like you're going to see people playing on TBC servers, because TBC wouldn't be an option that was provided by Blizzard.
Yeah.
And then there are people that are playing on private servers because they're free, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have to pay to access the classic servers, well, then that still doesn't really get that person back because it doesn't address their concern. So, yeah, I don't know.
We had this conversation the other day. Like, there's a lot of, it's with any community, of course. There's toxic elements in any community. But it's just kind of funny. We had this conversation the other day, and I go, how do these people come to find, the stream or these private servers? And I go, I think it was one of my moderators. He goes, they must just Google how to play WoW for free. And I'd never thought of that. And I'm like, honestly, there's probably truth to that.
Yeah.
Like kids that, their parents won't pay their sub or whatever, how to play WoW for free. And I think that, honestly, there's a little bit more of that than you think. And those people will probably still always play private servers.
Oh, absolutely. But private servers will be much smaller because there'll be an alternative that's better and it's more official. It's like in a lot of ways, we've seen pirating of like movies and games go down ever since the implementation and like the rise of Netflix and things like Spotify and Pandora. Right. And so, and that's an incredible thing to, like, whenever you think about it, it's like you're getting somebody that was doing something, getting something for free. Now you're getting them to pay money for something that they were getting for free. And I think it'll be the same thing where a lot of people are going to move over from private servers to playing retail, even though it costs money.
What do you think about people that have the opinion of, I've already paid for this once? And I've already paid for the game once, vanilla. So if they're longtime customers, they've been playing and paying for the game forever and ever. What do you think about people that have the opinion of, I've already paid for this game, why am I having to pay a sub for WoW Classic?
What? I mean, who thinks that?
I don't know.
No. There's people. I've seen that.
I mean,
I assure you, there are randos out there that think this.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, there's people that think that there's lizards that live in the center of the earth that are controlling the world.
Wait,
like,
they don't?
Here's the thing. Don't waste your time reasoning with unreasonable people. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to convince this idiot that, like, I mean, like, for one, they say it on the box whenever you signed the TOS whenever you bought the original game. So it wouldn't even work in the first place, right? Like, it only makes sense if you don't think about it, which clearly most of those people haven't. Yeah. There's just no reason to talk about that to those people, like, and there's no reason to engage them at all. They're stupid, and they should just be ignored.
Pretty much. So
now, do you worry about that at all? Like, because that's a thing now where game developers like listen that vocal minority. I mean, it's crazy that they would even give them the time of day, but I mean, it seems like it happens every now and then now.
In what way?
I mean, if people like, the squeaky wheel gets the grease kind of thing.
Well, that's the thing is, I mean, maybe we're the squeaky wheel, right?
That's true.
And we've got to realize that. I mean, like, game developers can change things for certain people, and that's fine. But I mean, do you really think that they're going to give out Classic for free? Like, I mean, they're a company. I don't think that they even should. Like, they're paying GMs and everything. I want them to have the best experience possible. They're delivering this to us. They're making everybody happy, and I think it's the best thing for the game for them to couple it with the Battle for Azeroth subscription so they can make the game better as a whole.
So you definitely think it'll be tied to Battle for Azeroth?
I would be amazed if it wasn't.
That's what I mean. That seems like the smartest way for them to do it to me. I mean, just tie it in to the sub. I mean, if you ask me to pay $5 extra, sure, doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's worth it to me. $5 and you're paying a flat $20 a month for Battle for Azeroth and
well,
Classic.
I mean, anybody that's dumb enough to really think that has never read the terms of service, right? I mean, this isn't even a debate as to whether this is okay or not, because they signed that whenever they originally started playing the game. This isn't some sort of assumption or some sort of thing that Blizzard pigeonholed into, or some form of, late stage capitalism. This is something that was in the terms of service that they signed whenever they bought or whenever they started playing the game.
Yeah,
so if that's something that they can't understand, then there's no point even talking to them.
So
that's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, they're just stupid.
I mean, the type of people that we're talking about probably don't even think that way, but you're absolutely correct, of course. What do you think about the PvP honor system in vanilla? Do you think that, because back in the day, I got High Warlord, and Macho here, he got rank 13 back in the day on vanilla, and it was torture.
It was garbage. It was terrible, and I don't want it changed.
You'd rather, yeah, of course, you mean you want it to be still the same, of course.
Yeah, I mean, because if I say no changes, then I mean no changes, right?
Right.
Now, in a perfect world, I feel like they could have done it better, but they didn't, and then that's where we're in right now.
Fair enough.
Now you're for no no formula changes, no anything. Because I mean, depending on what
Here's
patch
the problem.
what patch they put in, the formula changes. At the beginning of vanilla.
The only changes that I think should be up for debate are changes that occurred within vanilla WoW. So you had the change in the ZG patch where they increased the amount of debuff slots that a raid boss could have.
Yeah.
That change occurred within vanilla WoW.
Right.
There is absolutely a debate, depending on how Blizzard wants to implement classic servers, as to whether there should be 8 debuff slots available all the time, or 16 debuff slots available all the time, or maybe only Molten Core and BWL bosses can only receive 8 debuffs, and ZG and Naxxramas and AQ bosses can receive 16, right? And those are absolutely things that can be debated back and forth, and I think that's a positive thing. But what I don't want to see is everybody having their one change that they're okay with having, and then everybody has that one change, and then one of those gets through, then another one gets through, then another one gets through, and sooner or later you have a shit show.
Yeah, it's a cascade into some Frankenstein thing that's not even the same.
Yeah,
well, it's like if you look at the way that WoW has changed over the years, they've made changes that have basically, like, if you look at the entire player base and you look at it as let's say hardcore players and casual players, or players that want easy content versus players that want more difficult and challenging content. Whereas at the beginning of the game, let's say it was 90-10, where 90% of the players wanted challenging content that was difficult and 10% of the players wanted handouts. Well, whenever they make changes that maybe they give a little bit more handouts, maybe they lose 5% of that player base that's hardcore and they wanted difficult content, and then they gain 5% that wants easy content. So now it's 85-15. So slowly and slowly and slowly, more of those changes would occur, because you'd have a bigger and bigger percentage of the player base that has that type of mindset. And that's why I'm so worried about them making any changes, is because they could start alienating those players that do want the difficult, challenging, and maybe not even difficult or challenging, but meaningful and I think rewarding experience that vanilla had because of the investment that it required. And I don't want to see those people be alienated by casual players that just want the free rewards.
Yeah.
Now, just while we're on the topic of what they should or shouldn't change, what do you think about the talents? Because I don't know if you, obviously you can't stream it, but I don't know if you've ever played on one of these servers.
I've actually never played on a private server.
Really?
And I'm I will admit to plenty of things, this would be something I'd admit to very easily. I'm not saying this because Blizzard might be watching. A lot of my friends have you know, they have like business relationships with Blizzard, and they said that they've played on private servers. There's nothing about this. I'm not hiding this at all. I've just never played on one. I've just never have cared to. I've thought about it recently to get an idea for what the game would be like on classic servers, though.
But so Nostalrius, or I guess Elysium, Lights Hope, there's so much drama, but whatever you refer to it as these days, they use the patch 1.12 talents. And the content progresses through, you know, MC, Onyxia, then you move to BWL, etc., etc., but there's always those refined talents. Do you think that they will do something like that, or progress the talents from having no idea what they're talking about, and then they kind of do balancing as it goes?
Well, yeah, because they like iterate. You know, like there was like the.
No, I understand what you're saying. Are they going to implement the game in patch 1.0 and then progress it throughout the cycle of classic WoW to patch 1.12? I don't think so. I think that they're going to implement a baseline talent system that's pretty much a mirror of what we saw at the end of Vanilla WoW, patch 1.12, and then they're going to add in the raids over time. They're going to be tiered unlocks or tiered releases in the same way that they were in Vanilla WoW. Obviously, that will make certain earlier raids much easier, but I feel like that's going to be the most simple and the cleanest way of doing it, and also it saves Blizzard a lot of work.
Yeah.
If they wanted to do like every single patch with the different stats and like, you know, patch 1.0 and 1.1, whatever it is, 1.01, I would be completely okay with that. But I feel like that the amount of work that that's going to take, Blizzard is going to do the obvious thing and say, yeah, this isn't worth it. We're not going to waste our time with it. And also, it could give players a really bad perception of the game if they come in and their class is absolute dog shit and they know at the end of vanilla that it's going to be good. So it's like it doesn't make somebody feel good. Like, let's say you're playing a Shadow Priest, and Shadow Priests are terrible at the beginning of vanilla WoW for like the 8 debuff thing, or like Feral Druids are another example.
Yep.
You know that your class is going to be good, but because of the way that the game is set up, your class is not good. That's not going to make somebody feel like it's going to give people a bad perception of the game.
There's also a lot of broken talents at, you know, various intervals as well that they'd probably have to fix.
Well, like he just mentioned, I played a druid in vanilla, and Feral, I mean, with the patch like 1.8, 1.7, 1.9, one of those was the druid patch. And you're absolutely correct. I mean, it was awful until we got a talent like rebalance pass. It was terrible.
And you're going to have people asking, why do I have to sit through patch 1.08 or whatever it is? Why do I have to sit through this just for nostalgia's sake, playing this terrible character for a long time? Right. And it's like there's no real... I would be more okay with that because that follows, I guess, like the tradition of the game and how it was. I would be okay with that. But I feel like Blizzard is very aware of the negative impact that could give players, or the negative perception that could give players. And I don't really think that it's worth it.
Well, I think that's one of the things that private servers got right, was just to go with that baseline end of the game talents.
Yeah, just go with the talents.
Yeah, just because all the classes more or less work. And I mean, you know, you've got some of the imbalances or whatever that don't get fixed till TBC, but I mean, the game works.
Oh yeah, I mean, like you have certain classes like Protection Paladins. I heard don't have taunt.
They're terrible.
I mean,
they're not good.
Like that's not a good one, right? But you know, and then in TBC on the opposite end, you've got Protection Paladins that are just fucking gods. I mean, especially in dungeon tanking, in a way that warriors don't really have that same ability to be, especially with like large groups of mobs.
Yeah, so that was their niche back then, was the AOE tanking. They could
because Thunderclap was capped on a certain amount of mobs they could hit.
And Swipe was capped at 3 targets. I tank right now in our TBC thing, and boy, oh my god.
Paladins are really, really good, man. Like, I leveled one because I saw how overpowered they were. And like, I thought it was really cool the way Paladin tanks worked in TBC, but I wouldn't want to see Paladin tanks in the form that they were in TBC be added into vanilla, because that wasn't what was in the game at that time.
So we talked about PvP a little bit, about what you thought about the old school PvP, and this is mostly about Classic. It's not really too much about Battle for Azeroth, but one thing that really interested me was that they're getting rid of PvP servers altogether, at least the way that they used to be.
Yes.
And at first, when I heard about this change that you can toggle PvP on and off, I guess it's only in a sanctuary, right? So like in Ogremar or something similar to that.
So what they're probably going to do is they're going to make it where you familiar with what sharding is?
Yes.
So sharding basically makes it to where you only see people that are they're like miniature phases or like entire zone-wide phases for different groups of people. For anybody that's watching that doesn't understand, so they're just going to put you in a shard of all the other people that either have PvP turned on or off. Yeah. And whenever you have PvP toggled on, maybe you'll get a small buff. You'll probably always have your honor talents active. And I think it's just going to be generally a little bit more dangerous. And I like the idea of it, more risk for more rewards. And the way that I look at PvP servers is that right now with cross-realm zones, what a PvP server used to be is not what it is right now. And right. I can understand, it's like, I can look at this from two different ways, right? Obviously, it's going to kind of suck seeing less people in Hellfire Peninsula that I can kill on my rogue, right? Like, killing level 60s on my rogue is so fun. But I can understand why they want to get rid of that, even though I completely disagree with it. I think ganking is part of the game and everything, but to a certain extent, it becomes ridiculous. And it's like, in current WoW, like if I go fly over to, I don't know, like Stormheim or something like that, to Valistal, which is like the city there, I could fly in there and there could be 20 hordes just sitting there waiting for me, right? And that's not really what I signed up for or what anybody else signed up for, right? Whenever they made their character on a PvP server 10 years ago. They're just, it's a completely different world now. And I think that a lot of players are seeing that, and the way that the sharding system works for PvP, sometimes you're going to have these huge imbalances that aren't even because of your server. It's just because Blizzard's shard that you're in favors Horde much more than Alliance or vice versa. And I don't really think that's fair for the people that are going to go over there and then just get instantly killed. I mean, that's not engaging or fun or anything. It just sucks. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Do you think that this will really like reinvigorate world PvP in general though? Because I think that, I mean, even starting in TBC, which is, you know, we're talking way back at the beginning of WoW, I feel like world PvP hasn't really been, I don't know, like as special anymore just because you can fly away. Like it's in my opinion, there's like less forced confrontations because everyone flies right to where they want to go. They drop down on top of the objective, they do it, and then they fly away. You don't like ride by people on the roads, you know, dismount, charge at them or anything like that. But with this in BFA, it's like if you're agreeing that you want to PvP, do you think that there's going to be a lot more like actual PvP taking place? Because everyone is, you know, they're manually turning on their PvP flag, so they want to.
No,
fight.
I don't think so. I think that it's going to be the same now as it is then. Maybe you'd see a little bit more PvP, but I don't think everywhere is going to be a bloodbath. Really? I think that you're also like right that a lot of people don't really want to. Sorry, what was your first point? I forgot.
Just with flying mounts, that it kind of has.
Oh, with flying mounts, right? So if you're shitty enough to let somebody fly away from you, you deserve to lose the fight. There are things that dismount people. There are different ways to get on people. You can get your friends to dot them up. You can just follow them and kill them whenever they land. There's tons of different ways to do it. And if you're going to just let people fly away and get away from you, that's your fault. And you should always be able to tag somebody before they can get on their mount, even with a 1.5 second mount cast. And like a good player will do that, and they're the ones that deserve the kill. And the ones that don't, no, it's too bad, right? I mean, the game creates winners and losers. And with flying mounts, I think that flying mounts modified world PvP. And I think the best way to look at that is whenever we see, like whenever cross-realm zones were first implemented in Azeroth, right? And that was in the pre-patch for Mists of Pandaria. That was probably some of the most fun I've ever had in my entire life playing the game. Because I would go to like Blastlands, and there'd be like a 40 versus 40 raid, or like a 50 or 80 versus 80 raid going on. And everybody had flying mounts. But that didn't mean that there wasn't a shitload of PvP going on. Like, whenever I saw that, these huge amounts of people fighting each other, like an 80 versus 80, 100-man raids fighting each other in PvP, I felt like this is what I imagined world PvP to be. As somebody that played Warcraft 3, now I'm in the army that I'm fighting in. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that I was controlling. It felt so fucking good, man, and I absolutely loved it. And I remember like leading a Hala raid, and there was like 150 people I was leading, and like we beat the other Horde team, and then they came back, and then we beat them again. And god damn, that felt fucking good. Like that was my best time ever in the game. And you would go anywhere, and the ground would be gray with skeletons, and I loved it.
Did you do that in BRD? You know, when you were everybody was getting to go raid, and I remember like
you're just sitting there waiting on the
yeah, like as a
ramps closed.
Yeah, like you can't get in, but you have when it's raid time, your whole group would meet up in Kargath. I remember when I was in Blood Legion, we would do that. We would all group up in Kargath, and we would ride en masse to the instance. Like, and you know, we're riding in together, and it would just be massive battles. And if an alliance faction would want to fight, there'd be another 40-person raid right outside Kargath, and you would just clash. And it was fun.
It was a really, really awesome time. And I didn't do a whole lot of raiding in like vanilla. I did raid in vanilla, but I wasn't like that serious about it. And also the server that we played on, I'll be honest, it was a PvE server. Okay, so we didn't have a whole lot of that.
Dude, like BRD or like Blackrock Mountain was where it was at, man. They were so.
I would always try to flag myself and then get other people to flag so I could fight them.
Just playing a rogue back then was just so great. I mean, because you just camped the door, because there were 2 doors at both ends of the mountain, you know. So you just pick a door and you just sit there, and you start picking people off until they would call in for help, you know.
Yeah. And that was like, it was amazing, right? It was absolutely amazing, and those types of huge battles and everything. It's like, have either of you guys ever played Black Desert?
I tried it once, and I couldn't get into it.
Oh, well, I did, in an unhealthy way. And I played it a lot. And, like, going to some area and seeing, like, a world boss being like, dominated by one guild, and then here we come, and it's like, get the fuck out of here. Now we're here. We're going to kill everybody. That was awesome.
Did you do any of that in vanilla? Because you could do that in vanilla with Kazakh and the World Dragon.
Well, what we used to do is like everybody had like a little 20 alt warrior, and they would log on it whenever the different guilds would be trying to attempt like Emerus or Azergos or something like that, or Lethon. And they'd fucking taunt the boss as soon as it was going to do the breath.
Boy.
And we would just wipe their raids over and over and over. And I wasn't even really part of anything then. It's just I was there, right?
Yeah, and you didn't have to be part of something to do something like that. That can.
And I remember my friend, like this is like a good story. I don't think I've told the story in a long time. Is that my boy Jeff? I remember seeing him. There was an Alliance guild, and this guild had just recently declined my application. Okay, so I was more than willing to see them fail. They were attempting Kazakh, and back then, if Kazakh got in combat with more than 25 players, he would do a Shadow Maul volley to the entire raid and wipe everybody, right? Yep. So you can just overwhelm him. And like, I don't think Doomwalker had a similar mechanic, but Kazakh did. And anyway, so I remember having 3 screenshots. One with my friend Jeff, pretty far away, and on with his Tauren warrior in like his Wyvern, and then another one with him a lot closer. And then the third screenshot was everybody dead. And I remember that shit so fucking well. And they didn't know what to do, right? And I mean, like, obviously, I feel like Blizzard should do something about that, because you can effectively make it impossible for somebody for a guild to do anything, right?
Yeah, because when he killed somebody, he healed, right? Wasn't that what he
well,
was?
yeah, whenever he killed somebody, yeah, he was amazing. He was perfect for griefing. And so, obviously, that's a problem, and I don't really know how they can address that. But I would prefer that they have the griefing than the safe spaces, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I mean, that's what I remember from vanilla. Because we would try to kill Azergos and the first iteration of Kazakh and all the dragons, and I mean, a lot of times it would just be a big brawl. I mean, whoever won and whoever got tired of killing the other one would win. Whoever was left, and I mean, or you would call out another team of Horde and you would kind of team up.
Well, also, like with Kazakh and Doomroller, I know it with Doomroller, whenever he killed you, he put a debuff on you, and if you got in combat with him whenever you had that debuff, you could what do you call it? You would just instantly die.
Yeah, it was like a
So
one shot.
yeah, it was just an instant one shot. So what would happen is that you'd have like one guild get in combat with Doomroller, and then another guild would kill the guild that's in combat with Doomroller, and then so they all have the buffs, and then that guild would kill Doomroller, so the other guild couldn't interfere because they'd die, right? And so they could effectively steal the kill, and like a lot of that kind of stuff was really kind of stupid, and I wouldn't really like to see a lot of that return to the game. But I feel like Blizzard has done so much to prevent negative social experiences from happening like that, that they've removed social experiences in a large way from the game entirely.
Do you think, how big do you think that these classic servers will be? Do you think, because back in the day it was what, like 3K
10 million.
Cap? Well, I mean like the size of each individual server.
I think that the cap was 3.5 thousand, right? On a server. And I think that now I would be okay with a 10K server.
That's what they are here. That's what they are here. Sometimes
yeah.
they peak a little over that, but they usually peak at like 8, 9K.
Yeah, and I'd like that a lot. I don't know how many servers Blizzard's going to make, but I feel like with the amount of people that are going to play Legacy, they're going to have to make a lot. And I just don't know how they're going to handle that, because I think that 80% of the people that are going to start playing Legacy are going to stop.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you about. If they start too small, then all the servers will be ghost servers, and they'll have to merge them.
Right.
But at least now you would hope they have they can handle that now. Like back then.
Well, they have the, and that's a big question, right? Should they have sharding to handle a better launch experience? And I think that that's a smart thing to do. But is that really a change? Right? Because technically they didn't have sharding.
Right,
but also you weren't having that big of a launch back then. So it's a different situation. So I don't know how to really parse that out. But,
well, I mean, it's technology advancing. I mean, there's nothing you can... I mean, we have better technology now, and if they can make it work on that technology, like you said, is that a change?
Yeah, that's a big question, and I don't know. If they did that, you would not hear me complain for a second. But I've also said that I didn't really want to have it happen, because I feel like that could be a change, and it could be interpreted as a change. And again, it's like like whenever you're making sales, right? I used to sell things all the time, and I even sold things in Warcraft all the time. So what I would do is I would get somebody to buy like like an Amani Battle Bear, right? Like a carry for that in Cataclysm.
Yeah.
And then I would, after I made that sale with them, then I would try to make a second sale with them. Well, I'll also carry you for the last 2 bosses if you give me another 2,000 gold, right? And the technique is called getting your foot in the door, right? That's actually like a term. And that is absolutely, and like there's a very big difference, because people view the idea of, oh, if they make one change, then they're going to make all these other changes as a slippery slope fallacy. And there are a lot of other very, very quantified and codified techniques that follow the same slippery slope fallacy idea without necessarily calling it that. And the foot in the door technique that salesmen use is an example of that.
I mean, if they're going authentic and people are going to complain about that, I remember I played on Illidan back in vanilla, and my first memories is servers was down all the time, massive queue to log in. We're talking thousands of people to log in. If you weren't one of the first people, and I can remember actually, Poon, do you remember that bug that you could do where you could like sign in real quick and hit escape and then do it again, and you could
sometimes
skip the queue?
Could skip through the queue. Yeah.
I mean, is that going to be in the game? Because I was the master of sneaking past the queue.
I remember that. It was like a little mini game you'd play to try to sneak in. Yep. Asmongold, I did see that you were doing a Project 60 on your channel. Are you guys going to go to 70, 80? Are you guys going to go all the way to Warlords of Draenor?
I fucking hope not. So Vanilla WoW, obviously I love Vanilla WoW. TBC, incredible. Wrath of the Lich King, good. Cataclysm, great. I actually think that minus Ulduar, Cataclysm had better raids. Mists of Pandaria, I love Throne of Thunder, and I think that the other raids were mediocre. I really just want to do the first trilogy, the first 3.
That's fair enough. We tried something similar on Twitch over the summer, and we got through vanilla, we got through the Burning Crusade, and then we had attendance issues. You won't have attendance issues, but we had attendance issues.
Well, that's what Soda and I were talking about, is that we might have people that are gonna kind of fall off after the 70 thing, because I just feel like right now everybody wants to do the 60 stuff because of the classic announcement. And also, we have more interest in this than we've ever had before. And I'm really excited to see like how many people are going to stay and actually participate in the 60 raids. But it's awesome whenever I open up like the Warcraft Twitch page, right? And I see all these guys, and they're in BWL. It's really, really cool. So I think that's going to happen. And I think we'll probably do the first, the trilogy. I guess that's the way that I look at it, is it's the trilogy of the games, right? So Vanilla, TBC, Wrath of the Lich King. Everything. Go ahead.
No, are you going to make sure that people don't buy the BOEs, like the TBC BOEs, the level 60 ones?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing our best to try to filter that kind of stuff out, but in a lot of ways, it's impossible for us to control what other people do. Right. And the way that I look at it is that if somebody wants to come into a raid and they're obviously wearing things that they bought or they got carried through, we're just going to bring somebody else. But the way that other groups want to do it isn't really my concern. And the important thing to me is that people are able to experience and enjoy the game. And I think if somebody wants to have a few extra pieces of gear to do that because they're not confident enough or for whatever other reason, they just feel like that would be they feel better about that. I don't really want to be in a position to tell them no, but I'm also not the one that's writing the rules. Right. So what the rules are is what the rules are in my mind, and I don't want to make exceptions for certain people.
Absolutely.
Did you guys do heirlooms or no heirlooms?
No heirlooms, no mounts until 40, no auction house, no getting runs through dungeons. We obviously, I mean, like, let's be real, guys. Like, I got 60 in like a day /played.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be happy if I got 20 in a day /played in vanilla, right?
Of course.
And so it's a completely different universe, but it's the best that we can do to simulate the game without it being overly contrived.
Did you guys do PvP gear too? Because that was so easy.
No, because it's a joke. I mean, like, Grand Marshal gear is equivalent to AQ40 gear.
Yeah, and you can.
I mean, like, there are certain swords that are the best in the game until you get up to Kel'Thuzad.
Yep.
Yeah, they damn
sure. And if you have marks from playing, your main on retail, you've got a stack, a stockpile of marks of honor, so you can just turn those in, flip them. You just send them to an alt, and you can buy that gear instantly.
Right. Yeah. You just buy a full set.
Yep.
And then that just ruins the whole thing.
We tried to say no to that too.
Yeah, I mean, if we see people with that gear, like, we have a bot that detects that stuff, we just kick them out of the guild. Like, well, yeah, I mean, that.
And why didn't we have that?
Well, that's like all Soda and like this other guy, like, that's all them. Like, if it was up to me, like, I would just care if people came into the raid. Like, the way that I wanted to do it is have a full raid of 40 people, but only use white items. That's what I want to do. Yeah, that'd be cool as fuck, and I do want to do that at some point. But like, we're gonna do it this way first, just to get in like kind of like all the guys that stream and everything, and for us to get together and do a raid together.
You won't even have any problems. Like, we tried to take less people. How many did we try to run with? Like 14?
We did everything with 14 people up to Twin Emperors. Yeah, I think that's what we did. And then we had to bring some more people.
The DPS is just so insane that what classes can put out. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean, we had one guy, like, I watched the clip of it, and this dude was putting out almost like nearly 5K on Veil. Like, and he doesn't even have tier 2 gear. He doesn't even have tier 1 gear.
That's crazy.
Like, it's not, it's fucking ridiculous. I mean, like, yeah, he's Arcane. And Arcane is like a very, very mana heavy thing, and so since Veil is giving you free mana, like, obviously, this is like the best possible thing. It's like if you gave a warrior, like, warriors would do better on that fight in a lopsided way because they could take advantage of execute, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the fact that that's even possible in the first place is ridiculous. 5,000 DPS was average for like early Old War. Like, if you were doing 5,000 DPS on XTD Constructor, it was like fine. And we're talking about a level 60 in greens doing that, or blues.
Yep.
It's fucking ridiculous.
My rogue got Perdition's Blade at 60
Yeah.
in our project, and as soon as he got it, it was just ridiculous.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
how hard everything was hitting, like Mutilate, which again is something that's not even in the game. So back
Mutilate
then-
isn't in the game? I'm pretty sure Mutilate...
no, I mean back in vanilla.
Oh, yeah, they
something
added
that wasn't
that
even
in the, what is it, the pre-patch for BC, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Wait.
you're using abilities
Yeah.
that weren't even in the game back then, just trucking people.
They added
Oh,
a lot
absolutely.
of stuff then, like water elemental for mages
Frost
and
mage.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh, yeah, there's a ton of stuff.
So we are at about an hour now, and I do not want to keep you very much longer. I very much appreciate you coming here on the channel. Like I said, guys, this is the first guest we've ever had, and I'm honestly humbled. I was very surprised that you agreed to this, honestly, and it's really cool of you. Asmongold, if you guys do not know, is the biggest World of Warcraft streamer on Twitch. You guys should check him out on Twitch and on YouTube. I should have the link to his channels in the stream description, but I am terrible, so I'm going to add that after this.
Good job, guy.
Did you have any more questions you wanted to ask Macho?
I was just happy to be here. I was gonna tell him that he actually hadn't talked to you at all this week because I catfished you on Twitter.
Yeah, Macho runs the
I
Twitter.
run the Twitter.
Yo, whatever
So,
works, man.
Sorry, man.
Yeah. Do you guys? Well, for one, how did you guys know? How did you guys get the idea to contact me?
I had just decided to. I've always followed you. Like, I don't watch all of your streams, but I've always followed your streams, and I saw on YouTube that there were some smaller streamers that had interviewed you in the past, like a year ago or even longer ago, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. You know, if he had agreed to talk with those people, then maybe he'll agree to talk to us.
Yeah. Well, it's actually really funny. I thought it was actually because I brought your name up. I think it was on somebody else's stream because I had watched you do Shadow Labyrinth, and I think you were on a rogue, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's
And
what
I
I'm
had
on right
watched
now.
you do it, and then like a day later, I had mentioned your name, and then a day after that, you had messaged me, and so I was like, oh, well, I guess he must have seen that and thought that, yeah, since I had watched his content, I'd be willing to do it. But it actually was just fucking random.
Well, no. We'd been considering it for a long time, actually, and I've
Okay.
never reached out to you. And then somebody wrote on our Discord, they're like, Poongoon, Asmongold's watched your stream. So that is when I reached out to you.
Oh,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay,
Yeah.
I would be amazed if those two events were not correlated.
Yeah.
So I'm glad about that, and I'm also really glad that you guys were able to bring me on and do all of this. Do you guys do viewer questions or anything like that?
We can do something
here.
like that, sure. If y'all would like to ask a question, if it's not
Sure.
repulsive or degenerate, chat, you're more than
Oh,
welcome to ask.
those are my favorite.
Well, then you're about to get about.
Yeah,
5.
don't worry.
Yeah. Our chat is truly deplorable at times. It's okay though.
It's okay. That's okay. That's what I prefer.
Boy, somebody pop a question in the chat then.
What servers do you guys play on? What do you call it? On like private servers? What do you guys play?
Well, I play currently. This is my rogue right now on Warmain Outland, and as a streamer, I'm trying to showcase both. So
Yeah.
I play the Burning Crusade, but I'm mostly raid logging Saturdays and Sundays. You know, Karazhan, Gruul's Lair, Magtheridon's Lair.
Doesn't Warmane like sell gear though?
Yeah, it's really cringy, and I actually hate it. But it's the only TBC server with any kind of pop. So
Really?
yeah, I mean there are other ones, but you can't really find groups or anything there.
Hey, I got you.
Hopefully-
We have a question for you. And this is from Legionnaire. Do you think 5'11" is a respectable male height?
It's a little is one under.
Yeah,
But-
see, I
But it's
agree.
not a manlet,
like-
right?
No. I mean, I think that like I'm not really the kind of guy that's like, if you're not tall, you're not a man or anything like that. Like my dad is like, I mean, he's had multiple like fucking neck operations and shit, so he's lost like 3 or 4 inches in his height, and he's also old now. And
Yeah.
he was in Vietnam. He used to drink and get in fights with hammers with his friends whenever he was younger, get in bar fights. He was a college professor. He was an executive. He's probably like one of the most badass people that I've ever known. And
You had me at fighting with hammers.
yeah, he was in Vietnam and all kinds of shit, right? And he's like a writer too. Like he's like the most interesting man in the universe. You know, like a version of that. And he's like 5'7" now or something after all of his surgeries.
Well,
right?
your dad sounds awesome. Poon,
Yeah,
none of these things, so you're still a manlet.
Yeah, so I don't and like I don't think that anybody would ever bring that up to him, right? And I think there's a lot of people like that. So I think that he's a pretty good example of why I don't really ever consider that a thing.
All right, this is from Demuscus. He says, "What class will you be starting vanilla with?"
Warrior.
There you go, warrior.
Easy.
Asmongold, do you have any ghost stories? Is a question from Ben Perry.
Nah, shit's not real, dude.
Oh boy, you're in the wrong place.
Oh really?
Dude, I work, and my family owns a school, like a little preschool.
Yeah.
Man, boy, we have some shit going down in this place.
What do you mean?
Dude, I mean like stuff flying off the shelves and noises and stuff. I am not making this up.
You don't think it's ever the kids?
That stayed late at night. Like I'm in here right now. I'm in here tonight by myself, and I have the door shut. But usually when I have it open, all I can do is hear stuff banging. I'll find stuff on the counter, like in the kitchen, that was on the counter, falls off onto the floor. It's nuts.
Binsky asks, will you continue to ninja loot?
Unfortunately, not. No. They made a lot of changes on the current WoW game to where ninja looting is much more difficult to do. I will still figure out ways to scam other players out of items, and that will be a true joy of mine. And in Vanilla WoW, I am looking forward to ninja looting items, and I will be starting in Dead Mines.
Wow, that's good. Right way to start right in the beginning. So you're planning on going Alliance?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Alliance PvE.
I'm trying to talk Poon into going Alliance because all we do is play Horde. It's like Horde, and I've never got to play Alliance.
What I'm gonna do is like some of my boys, like we're gonna be playing Alliance, and then we're also gonna play Horde PvP on like weekends or something.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna grind ranks, and that way like we can do both.
That's cool.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Here's one. Carbon asks, Asmongold, would you recommend to someone who has never played vanilla to go in dry knowing nothing, or to do a lot of research before playing?
Go in dry. Honestly, I'd say go in dry. No lube, nothing.
Oh, this is a good question that ties into the ninja thing. How fast do you intend to have Iron Foe?
Why would I waste my time on that weapon?
I don't. It's not. Is it not beastly in vanilla? Yeah,
so
and it is epic.
It is really good, but it's much more efficient to farm for like the Unstoppable Force. And like, what am I going to do for Iron Foe? It gives you 2 extra attacks, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Who gives a fuck? Like, like the weapon is really good, but is damage really a big deal in the raids back then? No, of course not.
All right, so you've got an honor code then about your taking the epics. You're not just.
I would love to take it, but I just don't really. I'm not going to focus on getting it, if that makes sense.
I guess I should have hypothetical. If it dropped, would you take it?
I would do my best to get it. Yeah, absolutely.
Did you believe Macho passed on Iron Foe like a cuck?
Why you do that?
Yeah. It's a private server. I didn't think it would matter.
Well, I mean, like if you have
clearly
it,
stupid.
If you have it, then you've got it.
True. I should have. I really feel like I failed you in this regard.
For me, I try and get as many things as I can.
David Castle asks, do you still believe that subs will hit an all-time peak during Battle for Azeroth?
15K. Or, sorry, 15 mil.
That's crazy.
15K.
Yeah, 50K, yeah. Big deal. No, 15 mil. That's my bet.
I mean, the hype train is real right now, for sure.
And I guess we can
Smooth
take
ask, what's your favorite mount?
Oh, your mom? No. Let me see. My favorite mount, probably Invincible. I mean, like
classic.
Yeah,
it's a classic mount. I don't really ride it a lot.
Very good choice.
Yeah, I don't ride it a lot now because a lot of people have it.
Yeah.
But like I always try to ride the mount that the least people have, right? So I can like, look better than they are and everything. Like assert.
Yeah, of course.
Of course I'm better than them. But I would say probably Invincible.
Okay. Yeah. I remember when I got my Invincible. I can still remember it.
Oh, I can too.
That was back when Poon quit a guild and left me in the lurch, and I had to do it by myself.
We actually had we looted it to like one guy, and he was willing to sell it, and I bid all of my gold, and somebody was about to outbid me, and I yelled and bent, and I made it to where they couldn't outbid me because we were doing it verbally, and then I made the trade, and then I was like, "Fuck you, it's mine now." Yeah.
I can remember somebody spending all their DKP, like 300 DKP points on the tiger in ZG. Like he like cleaned himself.
You were
out.
able to do that? Like we never let people use DKP on that because
For
nobody.
whatever reason, we did.
That's so dumb. Oh my
I agree.
god. Yeah.
I can still remember. I can remember his name still. It was Demon Slayer.
Oh god. Yeah, no, I would do the same thing. I would just that's why it'd be bad, right? Because like you're trying to like progress your raid, and then you have people that are.
I mean, he emptied out. He was like, "All in. Here we go."
Yeah. I'd do the same thing. Like if I knew that, like if I knew there was a legendary, like the end boss, I wouldn't bid on anything. I'd be like, "Oh, 5 off, 5 off, 5 off," you know, and that's all I would bid.
Mr. J asks, Asmongold, what was the moment that you knew you had finally made it as a WoW streamer?
That's in my opinion, a silly question.
There's not one defining
like,
moment.
It's. I don't really look at myself as making it or not making it. Every day I log on. Every day anybody logs on. Things can go up, they can go down, or they can stay the same.
That's true.
And at the end of the day, one of those three things is going to happen. It doesn't matter how big you are. It doesn't matter what you've done. It matters what you've done lately. Look at Athene. Athene fell off. Athene used to be the biggest thing. Now he's not. There's a lot of changes.
He's clicking, man.
Yeah, he's clicking. Not with the viewers, though.
No, but I mean, if I can visit the compound, I'm gonna click too.
Yeah, it's like an abandoned Nazi mental institution, so I don't know if I'd want to do that.
Where is it?
I don't want to know.
It's somewhere in EU.
Because I told somebody
I'm
I'm going to Italy in July, and I'm gonna be like, if it's there, maybe I'll infiltrate, take a couple of pictures, probably get murdered.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking weird. Like the whole thing that they're doing, not what you're doing. I mean, like that's normal.
Clearly, I just want to see what's going on.
I think a lot of people do.
Here's a good one to wrap it up on. Shock says, "What is Asmongold's best favorite WoW memory?" It's pretty generic.
Okay. People actually have asked me this a lot in the past like couple of days. My friend Mikarivi, he and I started playing WoW together, and we were towards the end of like our journey in like Westfall, and we were both like level 30 at that point, and we were trying to get a group together for Dead Mines, and we couldn't get anybody. And we just said, yo, fuck this. Like, why don't we just go in there and 2-man it? We'll just do it ourselves. And I'm like, yo, I don't know about this. And I just said, okay, all right, well, let's go. And after a couple of hours, and probably like 3 or 4 hours, we killed VC, and we cleared Dead Mines together, just the two of us. And I think that was probably like one of the coolest things that we ever did together. And that probably would be one of my favorite memories. Like, there's a lot of things that are like that, right? Like getting immortal. Was a really big deal, like pre-World War, right? Because I got the Black Proto Drake, and a lot of stuff like that. But I would say probably one of those two.
All right. Well, I got the last question then. It's the most important.
All right.
And it's what does Asmongold think about the old beat sesh? Because Poongoon here, I don't know if you know this, he's most known for taking beat seshes during raids. And a beat sesh is where the mic gets accidentally activated, and he's beating furiously.
Let me tell you guys a story about that. So this was in Old War, and I haven't remembered that. Like I don't know why this reminded me. Is I was in the middle of a beat sesh, and I was tapped out on the first. I was tapped out on the first phase, where Mimiron does like the explosion that you have to run out for. Right?
Yeah.
And I had tabbed out at the exact frame that he began casting it, and I knew that I would not be able to tab it because I was playing a piece of shit computer. Okay, so I would just like, I'm like, what? I hold down the push to talk button. I'm like, guys, I'm lagging. And I finish off, and I die, and I alt F4 out of the game, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know what happened.
See,
and they're like,
Poon,
oh, is everything good now?
Listen to the honesty coming out of him right now.
I have no shame.
Yeah, exactly.
I have
Poon,
no shame at all.
stop hiding in your shame, Poon. Come out of your shell.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Cop to the beat sesh. All right, that was definitely the best answer I could have ever hoped.
No, yeah, I as I said, I played this game for 10 years. Like any sort of thing like that, I've probably gotten experience with it. Yeah, I remember that very clearly.
That's just a humble channel meme here.
Yeah,
Poon
just
in the old beat sesh.
yeah, a tactical lag excuse.
Yeah. I'm lagging.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I'm lagging, guys.
Did you say the thing where you can like quickly hit the mute button so it's like only a couple of, like syllables get through?
Oh
Well,
my
back
God.
then, everybody used Vent, and Vent had like push to talk was really the only way that you could do Vent.
Yeah.
So and like it was pretty much required. So I never accidentally did that. But one thing that I would do is I'd be on the phone with people, and I played WoW so much. Whenever I would talk, whenever I was on the phone, I'd hold down my push to talk button. Yeah, I think a lot of people did that.
Yeah, I've done that before,
Yeah.
for sure.
So, what are y'all's plans whenever Classic comes out? What are you guys gonna do?
Hit it like we don't have jobs.
Yeah, I'm
That's good.
probably
Like
gonna
play-
play
like
48
play-
hours straight
Yeah.
on the first
Gotta get
day.
get out ahead of the curve, you know, so you can. It will be playing on PvP, so you gotta get out in front on that one, or you'll just be getting farmed. You don't want to get stuck in the line with the leveling.
Oh man, like that's what I'm expecting is gonna happen to me. That's why I'm just gonna play PvE. Like I know it's like a bitch move, right? But I mean, it's just what's gonna happen. Like
Yeah,
I'm just gonna let it happen. And,
well, I mean, for you being as big as you are, like, I mean, you were gonna be. I mean, I don't know if I'm surely you've considered this. You have. If you're playing PvE, you would be camped relentlessly.
yeah, I mean, people are just gonna camp me all day, and it's not gonna be fun. Like it would be fun for like a day or two, right? Which is why I want to do like PvP on the weekends with the boys.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm gonna be focused entirely on building a PvE guild and doing all that kind of stuff. And that's my main concern.
I would not even pretend to be remotely the size of any of these WoW streamers, but at even 300 viewers, you can't level on a PvP server. It's impossible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you just have one person.
Constantly.
Yeah, I mean, you have one person that wants to get. It's actually like one of the most pathetic things that I've noticed in like streaming is how like attention starved people are, and it's like even the smallest amount of acknowledgement or noticement is like going to cause them to just go into some kind of an autistic frenzy. And,
it's pretty true, though.
Yeah, and it's one of the most pathetic things that I've ever seen in my whole life. But
I mean, are you usually when that would happen to you? Are you usually able to stay like calm and not get tilted? I mean, because I have the most. I mean, it's such a hard thing to do.
I get
pissed.
Tilted.
Yeah.
I
get pissed. And I know I shouldn't, but I get pissed.
Poon tries so hard to not get pissed.
And it's just like
positive.
I usually just try to make fun of them and degrade them, and that's like my goal.
Yeah.
But sometimes I think I probably it comes off as like people getting a response out of me, and that's probably my own mistake.
Yeah, because I think they want that. I mean, even if it's negative, just attention, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why, like, from now on, like, what I'm trying to do is like not even responding. I just ask, can somebody phase me over to another realm or something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't even like respond to it or anything. And I think that's the best way to do it. And like if somebody does that, like in my raids, I just kick them out and put them on ignore, and that's it. And that way, I just never deal with them again. And that like kind of gives everybody else, or like, you know, you can be on stream and be a good boy, or you can be a bad boy once. You know.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's their own option. But I think that you're doing really well. I mean, you've got 500 viewers right now. Before I've seen you had like 200-300 viewers too. I mean, there's a lot of people that are interested in watching this type of gameplay, and to get like 500 or 500 people watching you like fly around fucking the Grand with that shitty ass draw distance on that road,
terrible.
on that silly little broom is pretty damn good. And if you compare that to like WoW right now, that's almost the top line of WoW.
Absolutely.
So I wouldn't undersell yourself at all.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we appreciate it, man.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, like you I know I probably regurgitated this 3 times now, but you are the first guest we've ever had on the channel, and I am so surprised. Like, it was kind of just, you know, throwing it out there and see what would happen, but I was so surprised that you said yes and you agreed to be, you know, interviewed to hang out with us, and I appreciate it very much.
Well, of course, man. I really want to develop and make the community bigger and better, and I think that the development that we've put in with Project 60 and everything has not only helped other people, right, and like building up their streams, but also helped my own.
Absolutely.
So I have no problem helping other people out, and especially if there's somebody that I think is doing a good job. And I think that, you know, generally it's like you see people that are kind of stupid succeed, and it's like, God damn it. But if I can see somebody that I think is doing a good job, I want to help that person out, because I feel like I can kind of, you know, sometimes the hand of fate must be forced. That's the way I look at it. Oh wait, you guys don't play Legion. You don't even get that, do you?
I played Legion during the summer.
So you don't even get it. Oh no.
It's fine. Who doesn't like? I guess out of the two, play
that's
Legion
so funny.
most, but it's fine. We're not. We got to deal with old school things, like you can quote Major Domo.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or you can quote Ragnaros.
Too soon, Executus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so with that being said, guys, that is going to conclude our first ever special guest here on the channel. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I mean, that's pretty much it. I can play the sound I always play.
Well, thanks a lot for having me, guys. I really appreciate it, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Follow Asmongold on Twitch and YouTube.
Yes, guys, on Twitch and YouTube, and I'll have links to that in the stream description after this. Asmongold, very honored to have him here on the stream, and I will see you guys later. Take care, everyone.
Peace.